Hello and welcome to Super Switch Headz, the premier Nintendo podcast on all of the internet. My name is Patrick Knisley.
My name is Matthew Stoner.
My name is David Howe, and boy, oh boy, ladies and gentlemen, we have a very special guest joining us for tonight's episode. Brian Bonnet has joined the podcast. How's it going, Brian?
It is going wonderful. Thank you so much for having me back, y'all.
Oh yeah, always a pleasure.
Very excited to be here.
Brian, you are here to join us and talk about NFTs and the blockchain as it pertains to video games. There's been so much talk about this recently. We felt like we had to do an episode on it, even if
I had to do it at some point.
even if we're not experts, we're going to give our opinions on it. So in addition to that, we're going to be talking a bunch of news and rumors too. E3/Summer Game Fest news. Some virtual reality news, some sales stuff, a lot of rumors about Mario Kart, and more. But before we do any of that, how's everybody doing?
Doing all right. Actually, I'm trying to think of what's been going on. It's been inconsequential. Let's put it like that. Like after the New Year's craziness and the holidays and all that stuff, now it's been like a week getting back to work. Just getting back into the flow of things. Had a pretty chill weekend altogether. Been playing some games and watching a lot of Expanse, getting caught up. The season finale is this week, so I'm very excited. I'm preaching the good word for one last time before the show ends, finally.
Oh, and Travis County, where a lot of us live, here on recording at least. We got back. We did it. We got back to stage 5.
Hey,
Yeah.
we did it.
Yeah.
Number 5. Number 5.
Number 5 is number 1.
I think this is true of a lot of places around the country. It's going crazy right now. It's weird.
Isn't it like a
weird
third
time.
of people are apparently have it or have had it? Is that the number now?
I don't know. That sounds
It's like a
possible.
massive number. Yeah.
Yeah,
All the
it's-
cases that you see, all the charts just recently just go higher than they've ever been.
Yeah.
it's of people being tested, like a third to, I think it's roughly around just under a fourth, 25%.
Like test results.
Yeah,
Right.
of the people being tested, a fourth of them are coming up as positive.
Pro tip, you can order COVID tests on GoPuff. I don't know if you guys know that, but
What? That's
I got
wild.
one delivered to my house last night with some almond milk. So I wanted cereal this morning.
What a weird hellscape that we're living in right now.
It's like when you order like a Playboy and like a loaf of bread.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's like those two to go together for sure.
Burying the lead.
I did watch the South Park has like a post-COVID special. They have 2 specials, and I watched the first one, and it was very surreal to watch everything that existed to make jokes about our experiences. It was very funny.
What about you, Patrick?
I'm doing fine. I guess we should mention that we're recording this a little early.
That's right.
We're recording this earlier than we usually do, day wise and time wise, and I think I feel a little thrown off by all that. So
we just gotta look. We stumble through the intro, so we soar through the rest of the episode.
Yes.
That's what I've always said.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But
That's
I'm
what
just-
our audience expects from us at this point.
I kind of feel like you said, David, which is like things are just kind of getting back to normal. Not after we talk about that surge and all that, but like in terms of like day-to-day life.
Yeah. And cryptocurrency taking over the planet.
Yeah, and killing us all because of the environment. Yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there in a little bit.
All right.
Brian, how have you been? What's going
I'm
on?
doing
in your
great.
life?
You guys missed a very easy opportunity just to throw me under the bus and be like, it's his fault and his writer. He said that we had to do it on Sunday at 5 p.m. And so we had to curtail everything that we're doing for him.
Is that true? Is that why we're doing
No,
it?
it's me.
No, it's not. Patrick came out on like Discord and Facebook Messenger just being like, oh my God, can you come in on Sunday at 5 p.m.? I'm just like, yeah, sure. I got literally nothing else going on. But yeah, it's been a pretty chill weekend. Just been playing some board games. I got a puzzle for Christmas I've been putting together. It's kind of interesting in that let me tell you about puzzles. But the image that you're putting together is different than the image that it shows you, and that like what you're putting together is moments after what the image is, like that it tells you.
Oh.
So you have to like see the pieces and be like, oh, this person's over here now, and like this popped up, and so like as you're putting it together, you have to analyze it. So it's a little fucked, but it's kind
Expert
of fun.
mode.
Yeah.
We haven't done it yet, but we got gifted a puzzle that has a game element, and I wonder if it's that same one, because it kind of is like there's a twist, but I don't know what we haven't opened it yet.
Much
That
like
sounds-
Mario Kart 9.
Yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there.
Spoiler.
All right, we need to move on because everybody's ready to talk about crypto and Mario Kart.
We're chomping at the proverbial bit.
Guys, hold up. I've got another puzzle I want to talk about.
Did everybody get a chance to say their piece?
I think we're good.
Yeah, we can move on.
Real quickly then, our last episode was on New Year's resolutions and fireworks in video games, and a couple of shout outs on Facebook. Vincent Goodwin, because we talked about the Game Pass and playing games on Game Pass was part of some people's predictions, that they thought it would be cool if there was a Playing It Wrong like series, but for Game Pass games. And I think that's a cool idea. Somebody should do that.
That's a great spinoff idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll call it Gaming It Pass.
But there are going to be some new Playing It Wrong episodes coming out very soon too. So I'll use that opportunity to plug that. And then, as always, our episodes generate a lot of great discussion on the Discord. There was talk about the wide mouth James Bond from Ant Keeps Gaming and then everybody, based on our discussion of Bond. And Eelvac talked about the remake before. And then the huge 27, Jay, is just an average fireworks enjoyer, somewhere between me and Matthew.
I think that's a sensible place to be.
Take the middle path.
And Karuseta, when he thought about good fireworks, thought of the Moonlight Parade and most endings of Chrono Trigger. I'm kind of surprised we didn't talk about that one. Yeah. So yeah, and I think there's one more. David, you should.
Oh yeah, I just want to shout out Takashi Ishihara, who's the creator of Rez, Lumines, and Tetris Effect, for liking our photo on Instagram.
Yeah.
So maybe he was out cruising the Tetris Effect hashtag and stumbled upon us. Either way, it was nice to see that pop up. Senpai noticed.
Yeah, so we'd love to hear from listeners, viewers. Send us a note, anything we talk about. Maybe we'll get you a shout out, and leave us a review online, any place you can. Share our podcast on places like Reddit. We appreciate that. And always remember to like and subscribe on YouTube. And we're going to talk about the gaming news and rumors for the week. So first up is E3. So in light of the Stage 5, we did it. We were just joking about, which maybe isn't funny. I don't know.
You have to laugh at this point.
Yeah.
It's hard.
It's almost 2 years here, and COVID is once again, booming. And so the ESA, who runs E3, has decided to not hold an in-person E3 event. Getting ahead of this one rather than like their problems before, I think, where they last minute kind of made these changes. So I think that's responsible, and I guess there was some question about if at first the way they worded the statement, if it was actually going to be any E3 this year, but it sounds like they're planning to do an online only event.
They actually have not confirmed that.
They've not confirmed that.
So all we know is that it's not happening in person. And when they were asked to clarify if it would be an online event, the ESA said that they were excited about the possibilities of an online event. So it's still kind of up in the air, essentially, at this point. There's no kind of confirmation that it will be happening. We just know that it's not happening at like the LA Convention Center or in person at all.
It was virtual last year too, right?
Yes, it was. Yeah. And then it didn't happen at all in 2020.
Yeah. What a blur this is all.
I know. Yeah.
So I hope that it does happen, because I feel like when it didn't happen, we didn't have a clear time for a lot of announcements, and then it was just a big messy time. So I hope they do it, so that there's that, even if people don't use it, there's that anchor point.
Mm-hmm.
Do y'all agree, or do you care? Maybe we should talk about the next news item because it ties into this. But yeah, if any of y'all have opinions.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I think it's worth talking about just
Okay.
E3 for a second, because it's like, I mean, it's definitely, you know, like last year it was like, hey, it's happening again. And then now it's like, for the second year in a row doing an online thing, you know, did the companies see enough of a return on excitement for their presentations and time they put into that E3 branded event? You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to be interested to see over the next month or so, because they're kind of, now it's January. This is kind of enough time for people to put together demos, put together presentations, put together whatever they want to do in an online space if they are going to do that. But it's like the pussyfooting around like whether or not it's actually going to happen makes me worried that like they're having those talks with people right now and they're still figuring out if people actually even want to do it at all. You know what I mean? Which I wouldn't really, you can't really blame them for not doing it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And-
From like my end, it's just like, if E3 doesn't do much this year, will it continue? Because like
Right.
we're looking at like now 3 years where it might not have much of an impact in the industry, you know, and you've got other competitors, you know, that are kind of starting to creep in, and you've got your, you know, your Nintendo Directs and you're just like random little releases of information throughout the year. Like, how much longer is E3 going to be a thing?
Yeah. I mean, and even after COVID is quote unquote over, you know, is the damage too great from,
Right.
you know, now 3 years of it not being an in-person event.
Mhm.
I was listening to another podcast, and a friend of the show, Dreamcast guy, made a suggestion that I couldn't shake, which is bring it to Texas when it's done. You know, Dreamcast guy, fellow Texan, but it's like, it's expensive to do it in LA. You know,
Yeah.
it costs like a shit ton of money. It would be a lot easier, a lot more parking ability in Texas. You know, put it in a fucking field or some shit. But it's like, just kind of makes sense when it goes back to being in person. Like, I think regardless of what's going to happen, I don't know that we'll see it the way it's been at the LA Convention Center for all these years. Maybe they make it just an industry thing again or whatever, but I think it's going to be changed by the time.
I can't get past the fact that David, you just said put it in the field or some shit.
Put it in a field or something.
Just
What
like
do you
put it
just
in-
get like a tarps, put some tarps down on the ground.
What is this, like South by like 2013?
Yeah.
Just
Some
Put it
porta
in disparate
potties.
locations across the city. Yeah. Yeah.
whatever parking lots available, just
Yeah.
make a giant
Yeah.
Doritos machine.
Basically, take E3, hold it up a mile over the city, and then just drop it and see where it goes.
Shake it up.
Yeah, just take a Levitation Fest, all the psych rock and the psych bands, and then just put a video game brand on it, and we're good.
Exactly.
Honestly, I'm there. That sounds
Yeah.
dope as hell.
Well, we don't know if E3 will be an online event or not exist, but we do know that Summer Game Fest, Jeff Keighley's sort of E3 competitor, which is sort of there's not a specific time other than the summer. It's sort of a rolling series of showcases and announcements with that moniker, is going to happen in 2022. That has been announced.
Thank God.
Thank God. I don't know what we do without that. How do we feel about that? Do we care about that?
I just suspect foul play.
Go on.
I'm just saying Keeley did COVID.
That's where the red string leads to.
No, that's not true, obviously. But it was funny that it was like the day or like the same day that it was announced that E3 was not going to be happening in person. Jeff was like, I'm doing my thing though. And it was like, all right.
Probably had the draft saved in Twitter. Just, like, ready to go.
Just waiting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can see that.
Perfect timing. The sort of E3 precursor, though, CES, the Consumer Electronics Show, now just known as CES, happened. And during it, Sony announced its upcoming PlayStation VR second gen or whatever, next gen VR, whatever you want to call it, PSVR 2, PlayStation VR 2. They're going with the numbering.
Is that the official title?
That's the official name, PlayStation VR 2, and shortened as PSVR 2, which is a little weird. I mean, I'm not against it because it's got a clear, they follow that clear numbering, but PSVR 2 goes with the PS5.
Right.
And that's where maybe it starts to get a little hairy, but
it's the PSVR 2 pipe PS5.
Yeah. You don't say pipe. So that was cool, I guess. Actually, it seems cool, honestly, because in addition to the actual hardware announcement, which we don't know when is coming or how much it will cost, they talked about the controllers. And they're going to have the same sort of like haptic feedback type stuff that the DualSense has, the sort of adaptive triggers and that kind of stuff, which seems pretty cool potentially for VR.
Did I read that there's going to be haptic feedback in the headset as well?
I think they talked, there's going to be like eye tracking and like some like other like 3D audio. I don't know about
finally, the NFL can create VR experience that simulate the real world CTEs.
It might give you a concussion. I don't know about that. I kind of looked over the there's like a blog post on the official PlayStation blog with like a lot of the hardware specifications. I'll try to look through that quickly. Yeah, headset feedback, it says.
Yeah. So I guess it's going to shake on your face.
That doesn't sound comfortable, but
now I'm thinking of like a multiplayer boxing game where like not only do you win, but you like actually harm the other person.
Yeah. It's just an interesting. Yeah. I wonder what that means,
Yeah, we'll see. But they also announced a game for it, like a new Horizon game, Horizon Call of the Mountain, and they had like a very short teaser that they showed off. So, will that Horizon game be kind of like, Half-Life Alyx, like a really well-developed thing to try to sell this system? Probably, I'm guessing.
Or it'll be what the trailer was, which is just you sitting in a boat.
And looking around.
Because that seems like the more obvious VR experience, right? Than like running around and shooting dinosaurs and stuff. It feels like it'll be like a Disney park ride.
Like a on rails
a dark
thing.
ride. Yeah,
we'll see. Yeah,
we will see.
Other people fight dinosaurs.
Yeah. Shoot the underbelly.
Right.
I think it's interesting that Sony even is. They did this at CES. I think that's such a weird move. That just shows that Sony, who already has a big market share in the VR market, it's like Oculus, Facebook, Meta. I guess they're Meta now. Valve has a small share, but Sony has a pretty big market share. So it makes sense that they're continuing their hardware. But it's just so strange. It's at CES, which is like almost all professionals.
Well, I mean, it makes sense in that they are, they're positioning this as a device, you know what I mean? And I mean, Sony also has a history with CES and they just don't do E3 anymore. So it's like, they got to go somewhere, especially if they want, to build up that stuff. But I think it's like, this is going to be something that's going to be fucking expensive. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, like with all the specs that they're showing in here, like there's no way this isn't very expensive. So this is going to be like a big tech add-on to the already expensive PS5. So like showcasing it at, the place where all the cutting edge, super expensive tech is shown off makes a little bit of sense in that regard. Yeah, I don't know. I'm interested to see if this is going to be cross-platform. Because there isn't like PS5 in the name, it's just PSVR 2. So I wonder if this will work with PS4s as well. Maybe justify the higher price for saying that it can work with more systems. I don't know.
Next up, we've got to talk about Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity sales. Because
is it time for me to regurgitate the gameplay?
Yes, because the official like Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity Japanese Twitter account announced that they sold over 4 million units worldwide just this past week. Which how much did you say? You think you
wait? They sold 4 million this past week?
Well, that's no. No, total.
Huge
I was like,
spike
why
in
the big
sales.
spike? Yeah. That's so random.
I'm sorry. They said it this past week that they have reached that sales.
Yeah, I think I said it was
number.
going to sell 10 mil. I'm pretty sure. It was off by a little bit.
Off by a little bit.
Yeah.
But that's
I'll keep the Game Boy and the little flap in my stomach that I keep it in just in case.
But I guess that's pretty good for that game. Just had to mention it for that inside joke. And then I wanted to include this news, because I wasn't familiar with this even happening, but it was announced that the Fallout TV series, which I did not know was being produced by Amazon, has hired some showrunners, and they're going to start production this year. So I wasn't even aware of this. I guess video game shows and stuff are just really taking off. I think we're going to see every major video game. Doesn't it feel that way?
Yeah.
Like,
Totally.
I mean, with The Witcher second season is apparently very good and has been very successful for Netflix. Yeah, we got The Last of Us coming up soon. I'm pretty excited that they got Jonathan Nolan in to direct the pilot, and I think you've been developing it already. I think I'd heard Jonathan Nolan's name attached to it already. But either way, he's I thought Westworld, while not my favorite show of all time, the first couple seasons had really great ideas and kept me really wanting to see more. And so I'm excited to see his take on a post-apocalyptic world. Yeah, and Fallout just has a very rich lore, and if they explore a lot of the stuff that leads up to what creates that world, I think that would be a really cool way to conceptualize that as a television program.
Yeah, I'm a little skeptical in that, I don't know which angle they're going to take with it, because Fallout, I feel like I am less interested in how they got there, and I'm just more interested in diving into Fallout than because okay, yeah, there's some geopolitical thing that happened and we all blew each other up. That's not as interesting to me as it's sardonic look at this hellscape, and it's tongue-in-cheek humor and whatnot. And I don't think that, at least in Westworld and the things that Jonathan Nolan's done so far, it doesn't have a humor to it. It's very puzzle boxy. It's very heady. It's very, let's look at the big picture ideas kind of thing.
How can we usurp audience expectation kind of thing?
Yeah. And it's well, we've already had 7 games. Our expectations are very set. I don't need to be puzzle boxed. I just want to see we've got a rich lore with lots of interesting ideas in it. Let's play with the pieces, And so I'm a little bit can he do that? No, we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
It's fair.
Yeah, I'm seeing the writer has his main credits are Tomb Raider, the 2018 movie version, so that's okay. Captain Marvel, which was pretty okay. An upcoming Star Trek movie, so it's not a amazing pedigree or anything, but it's kind of what you would expect for this kind of stuff. And it's not saying that it won't be any good. I
mean, look at the writers of Chernobyl. What did they do before that?
Right. And now they're doing Last of Us, right?
Right.
I think that's them. So, yeah, I think it'll be cool. I for one, I'm happy to see more live action stuff. I think that it makes sense for these things to come out as series rather than big screen adaptations. A little bit less overall risk and more chance to let it stretch its legs and find its voice.
Yeah, and most games don't lend themselves to just a hard 3-act structure, anyways.
Exactly.
Because you got side quests, you've got random things that you're doing, you've just got exploration time. TV shows line up with that a little better.
Yeah, I wonder if they'll take an approach what Disney has done with The Mandalorian is they introduce a main character, and then that main character meets has different side quests with other different characters and other people that were experiencing the world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, wouldn't surprise me.
Our next news item, every year it seems like video game industry .biz or whatever the website or gamesindustry.biz, sorry, has this sort of yearly predictions, and they get analysts to come in, and somebody says generates a bunch of rumors. And that happened again, though I think there are some other rumors going around about this. The Mario Kart 9 rumors have just taken off because of this. So there's an analyst who mentioned and made a prediction this year that Mario Kart 9 is going to be announced. And
then that analyst name is Dr. Sirkin Toto.
That's right. Dr. Sirkin Toto said that, quote, Mario Kart 9 is in active development, parentheses, and comes with a new twist.
What's the new twist?
And Nintendo could tease
a little
it
bit of
this
lemon
year.
and lime.
That's just Sprite.
There's been a lot of Nintendo leakers, and I'm doing air quotes, that have talked about Mario Kart 9 over the last couple of years coming and being in development. So, and I think there's another leaker recently who's talking about it too, and saying that it's either going to be called Mario Kart Crossroads, maybe, or something like that. As the name,
like Britney Spears.
So
that's all I'll be able to think about.
No, it's Mario Kart Pipe Roads.
So
warp pipe roads.
Yeah.
So what do y'all make of this? Do you believe Dr. Sirkin Toto? Do you think that they have some knowledge about this and that they're right? Or do you think this is just some sort of safe prediction? And what would the twist be? Would it everybody assumes the twist is just like full on Nintendo kart, like every, Samus in a kart or whatever, like every Nintendo character. And the name Crossroads kind of implies that to me too.
I believe Dr. Sirkin Toto when he says that there is a Mario Kart game in development. I think that's fair. And I think there's always going to be one, right? And so it's like, this is also the same Dr. Sirkin Toto who said that the Switch Pro is coming like both last year and the year before. So, yes, he's an analyst.
Hey, it's coming. It's still coming.
I'd never heard of him before we started reporting on him being like, hey, these are coming. You know what I mean? And so it's like, I don't know. It's like, it's just an interesting track record for this individual. But yes, I do think it's coming, whether or not it'll be this year. It does,
That would be the first time that a mainline console got 2 Mario Karts, right?
I guess so. Yeah. So I mean, it also would make sense to be like a next gen Switch launch title, right? I'm just of the opinion that they should just keep releasing more DLC for 8 for right now. I think that's just an untapped gold mine. They might as well milk it for what it's worth for the remainder of the Switch's life, and then move on to this thing. But
100%.
as far as the twist is, what do you guys have any ideas for that?
It's a manager thing. You actually don't race. You just like manage the kart team.
Yeah, you play as who's the guy in the cloud with the
Lakitu.
You play as Lakitu, and you don't manage the cars. You manage the brands who want to sponsor Mario Karts.
So it's like a Mad Men. It's like a Mad Men style game.
Right, yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Or you just fly around as Lakitu with like the ready, set, go things and the U-turn signs. So when somebody's going wrong, you like fly over there and you're like, whoop, 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 whoop.
That would be a cool VR game.
That'd be fun.
Like, aside from like what Mario Kart game has actually had any gameplay that's really significantly different? Is Double Dash? I mean, is that even that different? You know what I mean? Like, I feel like the Mario Kart formula is so tried and true, and they're not going to mess with that.
Yeah, and I mean, like motorcycles, ATVs, and Double Dash are like the biggest shakeups that I can think of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it was like what Mario Kart 7 was the glider, right? And then in 8 they added underwater to that as well, plus hover, and like the upside down tracks and shit. Like and the courses all go on in crazy ways.
And I don't know if any of that feels like a twist to me. They just feel like slightly new mechanics that build off of previous things, right?
Well, I think that's what you can expect from this.
Yeah.
I think that's, I think that is the twist. Or like you said, like what everybody's been talking about is Super Smash Kart or whatever, right? Like, and just kind of cross everybody over.
What if they went into like full on simulation? Like this is Gran Turismo, but Mario Kart.
Yeah, bring it on, dude. Yeah. Here for it.
No thanks.
What if you still throw shells and shit? A bounty hunter.
Mario bounty hunter.
Lakitu's the bounty hunter.
Right, yeah. It's got an eye patch and a cigar. Yeah.
Maybe they go full open world.
Yeah, that would be fucking. What would you? How?
like maybe like a single player campaign that's actually something that's not just cups. That could be where the open world part could come in, like you drive to places and stuff. Yeah.
I've always wondered why are they racing, and I want a story. Why are they racing?
I feel like we've just done bits for this entire news article.
Yeah. It's all bits. If you have bit ideas about Mario Kart 9, hit us up on social media.
All right, we'll move on then. So there's a sale on the eShop, as there often is in the new year. So it's going to be ending on the 16th, I believe. Though there's various publisher sales, so some of those might come and go before then. But lots of games on sale, lots of big ones, and lots of indie games and stuff worth checking out if you've got some gift cards or looking for a new game on the Switch.
Yeah, lots of really great stuff. That game I was talking about last week, Grindstone, is half off right now. Definitely recommend picking that up before the sale ends. And lots of other stuff. And if you need more information, make sure you go to our Discord and check out Donnie's eShop Corner Emporium, where you'll get all the latest news on the latest deals.
Totally. And then there's going to be a new Tetris 99 Maximus Cup, right, David? In honor of the new Pokemon game?
That's right. Coming out a little bit later this month, which should coincide. I guess it's right before. When does Arceus come out?
28th, I think.
28th. Okay, so this is about a week before. Comes out on the weekend of the 20th. But it's going to be all about Pokemon Arceus, Legends Arceus, which I'm actually getting decently excited about. There was some new footage that dropped about that game as well on Nintendo's like Japanese YouTube. They had some new footage, just looking pretty good. I'm excited to see reviews for that game.
Yeah. And then our last bit of news is kind of just here to take us into our main topic, and that is that more major game companies have been discussing / releasing NFTs. There's been some news that Sega is interested in doing NFTs, though apparently concerned that might be received poorly as just a cash grab. And
now what would make them think that?
Konami has released some NFTs for the Castlevania series for its 35th anniversary, and probably more, but those are the ones I heard of. It feels like every day there's NFTs being talked about by big game companies. We've been talking about it for the last several weeks, it feels like, because as every company gets in on this and says they're interested in it. And so we're going to talk all about that, and NFTs and crypto and blockchain and how that intersects with video games and what's going on when we come back after this short break. All right, we are back, and this week we are talking about NFTs in video games and sort of cryptocurrency and blockchain and how that all intersects. Caveat, none of us are experts on this. We are just going to have a very conversational approach to this and talk.
This will be a layman's perspective.
Yes.
Maybe Brian knows a bit more.
I am a financial advisor. No, I am not. I legally cannot say that. Please do not. It's a bit.
But we did have a conversation about this on the Discord, and Brian, you did chime in with a little bit of knowledge, and that was a little bit more than we had. So that's one of the reasons we asked you to come on.
And that's how we pick guests on the show, folks.
Show up to the Discord, have this much knowledge.
But maybe we can open this up by talking about what NFTs are and sort of a little bit maybe and how that intersects with the concepts of crypto and blockchain and how that technology works, what it means. Because I think, the last year, 2021, I feel like NFTs in particular is something that really took off, right? In January of 2021, have you ever heard the term NFT? I don't think I had, nope. But now I feel like I hear it every week.
I hear it multiple times a day. And it's kind of the point where I just kind of wish I didn't even know it existed.
You got to turn off those NFT podcasts, David.
No, I don't listen to them, I swear. But it's like being, I work in animation, so it's like a lot of my Twitter feed is like artists and shit, you know what I mean? And so it's like I feel like I've been hearing about this for a while now, just from like early on, people bemoaning how dumb of an idea this was. Like half the people being like, "Hey, I can finally make money from my art," and half the people being like, "This is going to kill art." And then seeing now that like a lot of people, were pretty prophetic in what they thought it was going to turn into. And so it's like that's the perspective I come at this from. So I just want to right off the bat give my apologies if I seem a little biased.
Yeah, and another goal of this conversation is also just NFTs are new to everyone, and so it doesn't affect a lot of people, and so hopefully we can draw a line between where the technology is and how it could affect non-artists or everyone sometime in the future.
Yeah.
So does anybody want to take a crack at explaining what an NFT is? I mean, what it stands for and that sort of thing.
I'm going to make Brian do that one.
Yeah, I figured that's why you brought me on here. I can be the cannon or the person that everybody runs out and attacks.
Not exactly, Brian.
Here's his Twitter handle. Go attack him. It's not us.
I don't think we have those kinds of fans.
So to keep it succinct, you have we're going to take one step back and just talk about what the blockchain is. And you ultimately, it is a ledger for people to keep track of transactions. But rather than it being a single point of centralized truth, it is, you hear the word decentralized thrown a lot with crypto. But basically that it means that you have a lot of people that are all reaching consensus as to what is the ledger line. So you have a lot of people, if we're talking about Bitcoin specifically, or, Ethereum or something like that, you're basically just making a lot of like, I gave David $1, he gave Matt $5, Patrick gave me $3. And then all of that kind of gets put into a block of transactions. And then that gets put onto the blockchain. And so forever in perpetuity, we can look back and see that these wallets transferred this money around. And there are many ways that can end up on the blockchain, and I'm sure we'll get into that. The two biggest ways are proof of work and proof of stake. But what the difference between a cryptocurrency and NFT is, or a non-fungible token, is we're not actually trading something that is currency. We're trading something that is a thing. It could be a piece of art. It could be it's basically like trading a Bitcoin or an Ethereum, but rather than it being value, it literally just has a link to something, or it's basically claiming ownership of something. It could be a music file. It could be a video file. It could be a skin in a game. It could be whatever you want it to be. It's still pretty new, but that's the idea, is that it's not a value token that you are trading. You can't go to a supermarket and buy a banana with an NFT. You own it as an idea. Like you have this thing that is yours.
Now, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
That'll make me sound like an old man.
Yeah.
So yes, it is not currency that you're trading. It's not like Ethereum when you're not trading Ethereum, but is it not valued in Ethereum specifically, NFTs? Like, can they be tied to other cryptocurrency? Like, isn't the value measured by whatever cryptocurrency it's created in?
So the reason why Ethereum is so tightly coupled with NFTs is that Ethereum is built in a way that makes it very easy for you to make a new coin that's based off of Ethereum's infrastructure. But you can make it Switch Headz coin. You could make it Nintendo coin or whatever. It's very easy for you to spin out.
Switch Headz coin?
Yes, you could very easily make a Switch Headz coin.
Opinions changed. Our opinions
now.
And so Ethereum makes it very easy to make a new chain. And so most NFTs are a branch off of Ethereum because of that. So when you hear people a lot of times talking about, any advancements that could be happening in Ethereum that could then affect NFTs, that is a large portion why.
Okay. And when you buy an NFT, do you have to buy that NFT with crypto, or can you just buy that with real money?
It depends on what exchange you're doing that on, because ultimately this is all decentralized. Right. So I could buy a NFT from you for a banana. and you could trade that to me. The thing is, though, that you're going to have to trade that to me through the blockchain,
Right.
and that transaction isn't free. So like if you are we're talking about credit cards, for instance, when you make a transaction, that isn't a free swipe. There is some percentage of that transaction that company then has to pay for, which is why, some places will give you a discount if you pay for cash. Whenever you make a change or a transaction on the blockchain, you actually have to pay the people who then put that onto the blockchain. At least in Ethereum, you have to pay what's called a gas fee. And so the gas fees that exist right now are redonkulous because there is so much NFT trading that's happening right now. There's so much Ethereum traffic that's happening that the gas fees, like for that one transaction that I made for you giving me that NFT, just that part
is that with the banana?
Yes, but I gave you a banana, but you had to pay $200 to transfer that to me.
Oh, right.
And so like that, there are, people who do a lot of NFT transfers. A weird like flex that they like to do is like, how much money did I spend in gas fees? And for some people, it's like, yeah, I made $300,000, but I paid $50,000 in gas fees. Like that's not it could be even $1,000 or $100,000 in gas fees just to be able to make those transactions.
Who's the gas fee people?
Who's the gas man?
Yeah.
So when you are, we're now going to shift into that. What is the underlying technology of blockchains?
Yeah.
So as it stands right now, the mechanics that most cryptocurrencies are using is called proof of work. So we have a bunch of transactions that need to happen. So we're going to add a new block to the blockchain. So how does it get there? So we get to a point where that block is going to be added. And then people that are miners, so not miners like they're underaged, but miners.
Miners, not miners.
They are going to mine a new block. They're all going to race against each other. So they're going to solve some crazy math problem, and they have very, high-end computer hardware to crunch through this crazy problem. And then whoever can get it done first gets to add that to the blockchain. And in doing that, they get rewarded for that.
So they're getting the gas money. The miners are getting the gas. Is it only them, or are there other middlemen that also get a cut?
If you're doing it through an exchange, to make the transactions easier, then typically that also is going to add another fee on top of that. So there's a lot of caveats to how you're making this happen.
What's the website that like all the Bored Ape stuff is on? Or like, how do you like track a lot of the NFT? What's that website called?
I do not know.
Yeah, you talk about OpenSea.
Yeah, OpenSea. Like, do they get cuts of that gas money as well?
If you're doing trades through them specifically, then probably.
Yeah.
Like if you were, like your, what is it? What's the Matt Damon commercials that are happening right now? Crypto.com. Like if you're doing any trades through like, crypto or crypto.com or Coinbase or any of those things, like you're going to be paying whatever the fee is. And then on top of that, you're paying another fee for using them as the interface for all of that to happen.
But before we move on, can we talk a little bit more about proof of work?
Yes.
Or I just want to interject that this is where my biggest issue is.
Yeah.
I'm like, in theory, the idea of a decentralized currency and people selling digital art, I don't care. That actually sounds in some ways like great, but like this is where it starts to get problematic for me. And that what you're talking about of like people around the world investing in expensive computer hardware just to do this, and more people doing that, and the power needed to do this. Like Bitcoin alone, and this was many months ago. I heard that the Bitcoin, whatever you want to call it, infrastructure uses the same amount of power as the country of Argentina. And we live in a world where fossil fuels are used to do all this, to power a lot of things. And it's just, we're killing ourselves to sell digital art. And that's where my mind gets blown. Like,
well, it's like the gold rush, right? Like you were talking about how it's people are literally racing each other in order to get this out so that they can be, it's their shit that goes on the blockchain, right, Brian? So it's like people are going to take whatever means necessary to get that done as quickly as possible, which usually means like massive server farms and shit, right? And that's why nobody has any, 3090s now.
Yeah, it drives
Like,
it makes shortages. It
Yeah.
uses a lot of power.
Yeah. I mean, I literally only built a PC because my boyfriend was unemployed at the time and was on like Discord channels, like trying to find computer parts for his own computer. And he's like, "Do you want one?" I was like, "Sure." I don't have to spend any time to do this. I would love a graphics card.
I'm going to build a new hobby out of your
right.
Yeah. So like, I know we're saying it, kind of talking around it, but if you're an average consumer trying to build a PC, NFTs are affecting you because server farms are buying all of these video cards, these NVIDIA video cards and PC tech and PC hardware. And there's already chips shortages, but lots of people are buying it in order to mine all these coins. And so it's affecting you, average PC builder person.
Yeah. Just crypto in general, not just NFTs. It's like the whole kind of crypto phase right now is really driving a lot of that.
Right. Exactly. So NFTs is like, is going to affect you, the average consumer, in the future. But like today, how NFTs and blockchain and crypto is affecting you today by affecting some of the inventory for PC hardware.
And then just briefly, you mentioned proof of stake, which is an alternative that some currencies use, which is slightly better, arguably, for some of the reasons we just discussed, right, Brian?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Ethereum has been like for quite a while, for a couple of years, been like, we're going to move to proof of stake, which is a better way to approach it. It has its own issues, and it's a whole topic that is well outside of what we really want to dive into for today. But the idea being that there are basically there's some mechanism to basically, well, actually, let me rewind. So people that want to be miners are going to put forth a stake or some amount of currency saying like, I want to be involved in putting like blocks on the blockchain. I want to be a miner. So they then put forth some amount of money as a stake in as to be a miner. And then you have some mechanism that's like the backbone of this whole thing that will randomly choose people that have stake in as miners to be able to add a block onto the blockchain. And it's scaled based on the higher your stake in the currency, the more likely you will be picked. So there is still a little bit the rich get richer aspect to it, but you don't have thousands of computers all trying to race against each other to crunch through really crunchy ass problems.
And only one solve it. You have somebody randomly getting picked.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that solves the energy part. It has a lot of other implications that are well outside of what we really need to talk about today.
Right.
But a lot of crypto nerds, whenever you're just like, oh, the energy consumption, they're like, but we're going to change our infrastructure. But like it's supposed to have happened.
Clean coal.
Right, yeah.
Clean coal.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it is hard to, like, the energy problem is a real thing. And I think that's also my biggest problem with any sort of crypto piece is just the amount of waste that's involved. And it's hard to look at what is the actual, pie graph of like how much crypto is, being generated with renewable energy. Because there are some places that are, but then there's also, like, what was it? I saw that 65% of the Bitcoin hash rate is done in China. And a big chunk of their infrastructure, at least from the energy side, is coal.
Yeah.
And
it's as long as it's more cost effective to not use energy efficient methods, then it'll never be energy efficient. You know what I mean?
100%.
Like, and especially for, especially when that time is at stake, right? Like, it just makes too much sense for people whose entire point is to create fake things to increase their money, to do anything necessary to increase their money as much as possible.
Well, hold up, David. It's not fake.
But convince me otherwise.
Well, money is fake.
Like, but I mean, it's like, because what all this is reminding me of is just like Wall Street bets, fucking GME from this past year, the stock market, right? Like at least with the stock market, like that's another speculative market, right? Would you agree that like cryptocurrency is inherently speculative in nature? Like it's all about like what owning right now, what you hope will be worth more later. Correct. That's kind
For
of the
a lot
whole
of people's
basis of it.
involvement, yes.
Right.
I would say a majority of people are staking some amount of their investment into a blockchain of some kind to hopefully have it increase in value.
Right. Yeah. Because otherwise, why wouldn't you just use normal currency or whatever, right? And so it's like so I think I don't know. It's just like when you're at least when you're dealing in the stock exchange, that stuff has a tangible value, I guess, insofar as like the bits of a company and the profits that it creates, right?
It
Like,
starts to get pretty wily with the stock market.
Yeah.
Like the shit that happens in there is like just as hand wavy and bullshitty as crypto. And so I don't, there's a lot of qualms I have with crypto, but I don't know if that point is 100% like on the nose.
And that's totally fair. Yeah.
Yeah, I think your argument still stands for NFTs, maybe not exclusively for Bitcoin or cryptocurrency, but the idea that buying an NFT and having the token that you own this thing, the authentic, you own this, this ape, that it might be worth something in the future on some platform in the metaverse in some capacity.
Yeah.
So that's all speculative.
100%.
I guess I just don't see, I'm trying to foresee any future in which this does not end in a giant bubble bursting like any speculative market. You know what I mean? It's like, like we're seeing the same exact thing with Pokemon cards, with the retro game collecting and shit like that, and grading companies and people who like grade stuff, and then artificial scarcity and all this kind of stuff like going up and up and up. And it's all going to eventually end where everybody's going to be like, oh shit, this is the peak of the price that it's going to be. Everybody sells and then everybody loses money.
Who's
right?
left holding it? Hot potato kind of a thing.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's like, is there a world in which crypto or NFTs specifically ends in any way other than that? Or are we all kind of like inevitably heading for that hot potato scenario?
So I think that from the crypto side, I think there is some inherent value to the idea of it to some degree, particularly like if you're looking at, some countries whose currencies are absolutely fucked. Like, do you want to hold on to this dollar or this, this random piece of currency that has like 1000% inflation, or do you just immediately turn that into a cryptocurrency and you're actually gaining money?
Right.
Like you don't necessarily have access to a currency exchange regularly, but I could do this online from my smartphone. Like there is tangible value there. And I think that to some degree, I can see 1 to 2 coins, some amount of coins, like finding, like becoming, the Highlander of all the cryptocurrencies and sort of actually sort of, moving forward.
Like the American dollar or something that is used in other countries, like countries like you're discussing that have currency issues where
people, 100%.
People prefer a dollar.
Yeah, but for NFTs, as they stand right now, I absolutely think it's a bubble that's going to burst. I do not see, there is no tangible value that they necessarily bring. It is 100% speculative. They don't latch into anything. There isn't a metaverse to use these tokens in. There isn't like, is no real, there's not like, you're just hoping that this thing will do something.
And this is a great place for us to take this into what our podcast is about, which is video games.
Yeah.
Right. Because you're saying there's nothing for it to latch on to. And I agree. But like in theory, this is where it intersects with video games, right?
Totally.
Like, because why? I mean, other than the fact that I think this is crazy technology and people who like that also like video games, and maybe that's where the intersection is. And video game companies have iconic art characters they can sell as NFTs. But like, why is all this stuff happening with video games? Right. And I think it's because of what you're just saying. In theory, you could have an NFT that is in a game and gives you some advantage or even just cosmetic advantage. Right.
Right. So I think that at least So you've got people, like Atari and Konami that are just literally making NFTs that have their characters' likenesses. And they're just making money purely off of like, we're selling a thing outside of games that's just a piece of, a GIF. It's a PNG. It's whatever.
Konami is selling songs from Castlevania.
Yeah.
It's like, I think it's what Vampire Killer is up to like $400 right now on the auction site.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there
Good for
there
you,
is
Konami.
so there's that part of it, but then you do have some companies that are looking at it as like, okay, rather than giving someone a skin, we're going to give them an NFT that is also a skin. So you could then technically trade that around outside of the game as some kind of value. My issue with that is that like you're already a centralized process. You're a game. Like you control everything that happens in there. So even if this is something that I could trade outside of your ecosystem, it still exists in your ecosystem. So like
Is that what it is? Is that like what Ubisoft is trying to do?
That's like, there's a lot of things that are getting thrown around. So I'm not 100% sure on their end, but there are a lot of companies that are just like, okay, well, you could play this game and earn an NFT that is a skin, or earn an NFT that is like something that is tangibly used in the game. And the only benefit for that as a user is that you can sell that in a marketplace that's not controlled by the game company.
But you can do that theoretically anyway, right?
Yes,
like if the
100%.
game allows for in-game trading. And that's the problem with this in terms of video games, right? It's like all these problems have already been solved by like databases, like
Yes.
databases exist, SQL exists that
Mhm.
does everything the blockchain can do and better. Like, you know what I mean, right? Like,
Right, which is what I was getting on. Like, it's already a centralized process. So doing the bookkeeping as a centralized process makes sense. And if you look at like what Steam does, with like, if you buy games or you're playing games, you get the trading cards and you can like trade the cards around, and it's all done within their own system. They take like a penny off of each of one of those transactions. And so they're just making free fucking money.
Right.
So like if you're really invested in like making a marketplace where like people can trade all of these things around, the long-sighted version is to make a marketplace that people can trade all this around and you get the transaction fees, not to make a marketplace that people can do that outside of your control.
Well, that was my question, is like, when Konami is auctioning off fucking Bloody Tears MP3 NFTs on their website, did they mine the fucking crypto in order to make that NFT? Like, what is
where's
that
the NFT
process
come from?
Yeah, like how do they profit off of that? You know what I mean? Like, did they just buy a bunch of Ethereum and then tie it to that already?
For the most part, they're just making money off of the initial sale. Since it's totally unregulated though, they can have actors that are artificially trading that around amongst each other to inflate the value so that they can then get more money off of like the fifth sale off of it. Like that, there's nothing that's stopping that. They could do that.
I would not put it past Konami, the pachinko dealer, .jp.
I mean, just look at Elon Musk going Dogecoin lol and then causing that market to go crazy, buying a ton of it, selling it, and then paying for an entire satellite off of Dogecoin. Like there is no regulations in this marketplace. You can do whatever the fuck you want to.
Right.
Yeah. So like just harping back onto the games thing, I think to answer the question you were kind of posing, Brian, which was like, why do this? If you could make money without it, is because it's buzzworthy right now, right? And because people can make money off of it because everybody's interested in it, at least in theory. I feel like this whole thing David's talking about, this bubble going to burst, it's going to burst because everybody's trying to do it right now and build these systems of these games around it. And I don't think the interest is there because I think the amount of people that own an NFT, while maybe it's increasing, my understanding is it's pretty small, right? Like of the whole world population or whatever.
So are they just like loud as fucking shit? Is that what's going on?
100%. I mean, it's also just from, I don't know, have any of y'all tried to do any cryptocurrency trading?
No.
Yes.
Okay.
I got you. I
How-
own some Doge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How is doing that as like an experience? Like, what's the user interface like for doing crypto?
Oh, it's like 4 or 5 steps of friction. Like
Yes.
I had to figure out like what do I need to trade this coin? Where can I go to buy the coin? Make sure that my account, someone doesn't hack it to steal my digital wallet.
Yeah. So it's not easy.
No.
And so for the average person that's just like, hey, I have an hour to figure this out, they're not gonna fucking do it. Like it's not easy enough to just like roll in and do this thing. It's relatively easy to download an app and like kind of start throwing around Bitcoin or whatever. But if you're like leaning into the NFT side specifically, it's not an easy, it's not a point and click thing. You can't just
Right.
make an account and start trading NFTs easily.
So it's really this whole thing is to court a very small user base of people that have the skill set that is required in order to make such transactions.
Yes.
So it's like, and then everybody just has to deal with it for
And
these specific people that are being catered to.
And in theory, I guess because it might expand, right? Like, I mean,
Right.
like there was some survey, and I don't know how accurate this is, that says that like almost 3% of Americans own an NFT. And then I saw somebody post something, and I wish I had like this reference that said like, but even out of that, it's like some much smaller percentage of those people that own lots of them, right? Like it's like, you know, this many people own NFTs, but like this many people own 90% of the NFTs.
Can you pull up
something like
the how many percentage of Americans own Mario Kart 8 Deluxe? I wonder how that compares.
I don't know. I could
Okay,
try,
that's
but
It feels like, looking at this, it feels very late 90s internet, and that there's a lot of people throwing a lot of money at the ideas of what this could end up being, but we have no fucking idea what it actually is going to be.
Mhm.
Right.
You know, like we have all these people standing up, like isn't at that time we had like, oh, online stores are going to be big. And so everybody was like trying to do all these like sales and stuff through there, but nobody really thought about like, well, what are we really trying to do here?
Then what are we
And then-
selling?
Yes. And so then it just kind of burst. And so it feels very similar in that like we have the ideas of something that could be interesting and novel, but we haven't actually figured out the use case for it yet.
Yeah.
And we just have too much money that we're just going to fire hose at this idea without really making it worthwhile to the average person.
I mean, is that what Zuckerberg's trying to do? Is build the marketplace for this shit? Is that what metaverse is supposed to be? You know,
It's
is that
not just the marketplace? It's also a place that you can transfer. Maybe this is all speculative at this point, where you can take your NFTs and put them into something, rather than just saying, I own this thing on OpenSea, or telling your friends how you own this. You might be able to take it into digital form and put it on your characters.
throw it around back and forth? With
Yeah,
your
put-
friends,
yeah.
or-
your shelf, display it.
Yeah, put it on a shelf. Put the Bored Ape graphic on a boomerang. You literally throw it in this digital version.
Oh,
Let's-
so cool.
Let's say you put it on your car in Forza, and you transfer it from Forza and put it on your Final Fantasy 14 on your sword hilt. That you own
But
this.
there would need
art.
to be like an API, I guess, of metaverse that would go through whatever game you're
Yeah.
making or whatever in order
Yes.
to incorporate these. Then is what you're saying.
That's what people are
It's
thinking.
no longer decentralized.
Then what is it at that point? It's just Facebook and everything.
Well,
don't
there's a lot of ways it could end up being, because it could be that, you know, like some technology that they create ends up being a backbone that all of that stuff passes through, but you could have lots of shard networks that, you know, people are trading NFTs on, but you could then access them through
Like
this
the internet
thing.
itself, kind of.
Yes, yeah, you're making like almost another layer of internet, but it's just for digital stuff.
Mhm.
And that idea is ultimately kind of cool. Like it would be cool if I could jump onto a game and bring in this thing, you know, to be able to like, you know, customize all my shit with stuff that I had brought in from out like externally. But I don't know. You can also
Yeah,
do that with mods.
That's why this whole thing is like so it breaks my brain, because it's like I'm not inherently opposed to the ideas of any of this shit.
Right.
It's just all the people that are implementing it are the worst people to ever walk on this earth.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's like the idea of a metaverse is like not inherently bad, and it makes sense. We're moving towards this like digital new space, you know what I mean? Which is inevitable, whatever you think about it or not. We could make it the best thing possible, or we could have fucking Mark Zuckerberg do it for us. You know? And it's like, what? Really? That's who's doing it? Like, we gotta, and then it's like, you know, and I just feel like all the people that are behind this NFT thing, like it's just so obvious that they're just, just greed, bros, that are like doing this whole thing. And it's like the worst of us. And it's like, and it's been under the auspices. Like, I think one of the major disappointments in NFTs has got to be like, this is going to be good for artists. Artists can like tokenize their shit, can sell it for what it's worth. And like, it's a digital art market, right? Like that's what it was sold as, right? Like that's what fucking, all that shit was. And we've been hearing about that for a while. But the reality is, people's DeviantArt pages are being ransacked by opportunists who, then have to like, they take all their art, they steal it, make it their own thing. And then it's the artist's responsibility to go to these websites and like actually make claims and fill out paperwork for every single thing that was stolen from them, and not the website that's actually hosting it. You know what I mean? Right. And so it's like, you just keep seeing stuff like that. And it's just like, wears you fucking down, It's like, it just makes it to where it's hard for me to have any faith in this as a platform or as a currency or as like the new way of life. Just because I see it in its inception, in its infancy, already being like pillaged and like ruined, And so I don't know how it can get any better from here.
David, are you saying that maybe you think that a totally unregulated market is a bad idea?
I don't know, man. Look,
yeah, no, that's
Patrick's the libertarian. Ask him.
Well, I don't know. I have very conflicting.
I don't know if you're
I'm not a libertarian. Yeah. At one point I might have been, but like I do have a little bit of an anarchist side at times, but I also have a very much like everything needs to be pretty damn well regulated by.
Well, but I mean, like, if you're going strictly off of like anarchy as written, like most people who are anarchists are also like very into process.
Yeah.
It's not that it's anarchy is not the lack of process. It's just the lack of, only one person or one institution holding power.
Right. Yeah. Well, and it's just sad to see it's being this idea of something that's so decentralized and so like power to the people being just co-opted by like the biggest corporations. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like, It's like, okay, obviously the people that are going to have like the most ease of access to any of this stuff are the people that already had money. You know what I mean? So it's like, so what's the fucking point at the end of the day? It's like when Kickstarter came out, and not even talking about Kickstarter moving to the blockchain, which is a whole different conversation that we've already had on this show. But it's like, like, it was like, hey, small creators making this stuff. And then it eventually moved to these big companies not wanting to have any risk. So moving their shit to crowdfunding in the first place. It just reminds me of that. Just doesn't feel good or sit well with me.
Well, also something I think that we should talk about, and I don't know, maybe this is outside the scope of things too, but like is, we talking about dude bros being major influences. We talk about, less than 3% of Americans having it, but there are other parts of the world where a lot of people are doing this, like Southeast Asia and the Philippines. And my understanding is a lot more percentage wise of people in different countries have it. And I don't know, like, I don't think this is an argument against anything we've said. And probably the people there that had money are the ones making money off of it too. Right. I don't know. But it's weird. I don't know. Do y'all have any thoughts on that? Or Brian, do you have any thoughts on that? Like,
I mean, it does. The fact that it is ultimately accessible by anyone does inherently make it possible for anyone to make money on it, which is, I think, as a basis of an idea, valid and interesting.
Sure.
Like the fact that anyone can walk up to this space and walk away with more money in their pocket is, it's a good thing. But the problem is that, it's set up in a space that the haves continue to have more because there is no regulation on it. Right. And I don't know what the percentage is off of the top of my head, but if you look at who owns most of the Bitcoin, it's a very small number of players. Like there's one of the biggest players is people who forgot their passwords for their wallets. There's a lot
And
of
will
Bitcoin
never get
that
their
is no longer
Bitcoin
accessible.
Yeah.
But then there's also a lot of people. There's a few number of people that own most of the Bitcoin, and so we kind of very quickly fell into.
And that's
this spot.
Konami.
Yeah, Konami owns all of it. So I kind of obliqued away from your question a little bit.
No, that's fine.
All right. It's just like, yeah, it does stuff like that doesn't make me any less wary of the whole thing. You know what I mean? I'm just getting like big vibes of like the country of Iceland, for instance. Like, but let's just do quick history of Iceland's economy for the past like decade. Like basically up until like a decade ago, Iceland, actually a little bit more than that, but Iceland for hundreds, if not thousands of years, Iceland's economy was based on one thing, and that was fishing. And they prospered. They were the best in the biz. They fucking surrounded by water. They did lots of fishing, right? And that was their whole thing. In like the 2000s, the early 2000s, they pivoted, and suddenly Iceland moved into banking and international banking and got super involved with all the European banks, and like all their banks started getting their fingers in all of that stuff. And suddenly Iceland's number one source of income for their entire country was banking. Now, of course, there was a giant, huge recession and the banks collapsed. And Iceland, who now had a stake in all these European banks, got fucked. And their entire economy got fucked. And you know, the only thing that saved them is Bjork. And I'm not joking. Bjork bailed out the Icelandic economy. And that's what I think we need right now for NFTs. We need Bjork to come in and save us once again.
And now China is getting really involved in Iceland because as the ice melts, China will have trade routes through through the Arctic Sea. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right, we're getting an Icelandic person on this podcast.
You're going to get me going off on climate change, but we've talked about NFTs a lot, and we should kind of wrap this up. And obviously, this is very conversational. We didn't like come to any like that's the answer.
No, this has mainly been Brian just explaining what crypto is to us, and for that I'm very thankful.
Yeah, just to belabor the point even more, to talk about NFTs is sure anyone can sell art. But just the barrier to entry to like buy Ethereum, to understand Ethereum, and then to finally to understand how to put your art onto OpenSea on the marketplace, that barrier of entry is not likely your average artist or your average non-tech person who is creating like physical art or digital art. And so the barrier of entry is, medium to high. It's not like a really frictionless experience to get on there. And then the fact that all of the community supporting NFTs are tech bros. So you're creating this art, you're part of this NFT community now. It's such a interesting, weird space.
Yeah. Well, and also it is such an insular community. So the art that ends up being successful is a very specific type of art. You don't have like there's a lot of memes online of just like, this is what all NFT art looks like. And it's just this nasty, gnarled, like monkey face.
I think I saw like a Solar Shade, who's a YouTuber, did an episode. And the title of the episode is "Why Are NFTs All Ugly?"
Right.
Well, people, it's not even artists making it anymore. People just go and use the AI generated Wombo art and then slap an NFT on it. So it's computers making the art now, not even people.
Well, because a lot of the NFT spaces are, we're going to make a template that's then randomized.
Right.
And then when you buy them, you get these random things. And then based off of the rarity of like, only 0.01% of this type of NFT has sunglasses, it now has more value.
So it's a gotcha game, is what you're saying.
Yes, it is. For a lot of the NFTs, it's a straight up gotcha game.
Yeah.
There's also an additional benefit of, so you have the value of owning the NFT, but if you own, we talked about different NFT artists. There's like Bored Apes or Space Apes or Dream Loops. These are artists who are creating all of these things. But if you buy one of these, you might gain access to their social network. Like if you own, there's like I think one of the apes on NFTs. Like when you buy it, you get invited to actual in-person ape NFT owner parties.
Mm-hmm.
And so you might get like a hat or like a hoodie. So it's this inclusive market, but there are sections that are exclusive if you buy a particular NFT. So there are benefits that if you're buying NFT that are outside of the digital realm, and they're mostly in the social space and then like the networking space too.
Mm-hmm.
But if everybody doing it is like the worst, would you want to be a part of that social space? Like, I just don't understand.
No, probably not. But like, there is also outside of just like the random meetups and stuff, like most of those different kind of like types of NFT chains that exist also typically have a very active Discord channel as well. And so there'll be people that were just like, I'm really into this particular type. And they'll just be on those, just talking about all of the reasons why this is so. It's like a Wall Street bets, but just for this one type of NFT. And like, that's why Discord at one point was saying like, oh, okay, well, maybe we'll integrate like NFT transactions and stuff within Discord. And then everybody went, fuck you. And they were just like, okay, well, maybe we don't do that.
It does feel like there is a massive backlash to all of this, right? Like, it's not like everybody is on board. I think like a lot of people think it's lame as fuck. And it is I feel like it's inarguably a fad, right? Like we were talking earlier, it's like this kind of just blew up over the last year and now it's all anybody's talking about, right?
Right.
So it's like, that's at least kind of good
Positive.
to know. You know what I mean? Like,
there's an end in sight.
Yeah. But it is like, it just does like sour the whole crypto, because the idea of crypto, like when Bitcoin first came out, it was like, I wasn't diametrically opposed to it. You know what I mean? It's just like become so soured and so nasty over the years.
And it also like within the NFT space, like fraud is such a big deal. Like people will make a new like coin for NFTs and they'll pump up the market and then they will take all of the money and get the fuck out. And there's no recourse for that. And that happens so regularly that people don't just say that I got the rug pulled out from under me. They just say I got rugged. Like it's so common. They had to shorten the phrase to I got rugged. And it's part of a rite of passage of if you are an NFT trader regularly, it's like, fuck, I got rugged. And they're like, well, welcome to NFTs, bro.
Yeah, there was one of those coins that happened, I think around maybe just after the election, where there was like a Trump coin, but it was just all a scam. So people could buy into Trump, buy this Trump coin, but you couldn't cash out of it. And the only people that could cash out of it were the people who created the coin because they mined the coins. So it shot up in value. But if you're an average buyer,
that's what we should do with Switch Headz coin.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually a pretty good idea.
Let's go full villain.
we should wrap up this conversation. Is there anything else about any of this that we want to end on, or especially as it relates to video games, or have we had the conversation?
I'm just fascinated to see how NFTs affect like MMOs, anything that has a digital world. We talk about metaverse. Metaverse is still very, very far where we're going to be spending our digital life. But for the digital worlds that exist, your MMOs, those types of games, your Final Fantasy 14s, or any kind of digital life game, how will NFTs affect those? That's what the most interests me.
Yeah. And are we on the cusp of play to earn, which is already a expression I'm seeing more and more every day in terms of the blockchain, right? It's like playing an MMO, playing a grindy game where it's like all of a sudden you can then sell these goods and services, and that now playing this game is your job, right? I mean, I feel like that's what Elon Musk has been talking about for a while, and Grimes and all of them are like, hey, it's all gaming, right? Like that's going to be the future of earning money. And I mean, is that something we can realistically see happening? And if so, is that something that you can see Nintendo ever getting into?
let's make all those 8-year-olds just fucking get in the grind early, right? Like they need a job now. Like you're in elementary school, you can hold a controller, fucking get some money, dude.
Yeah.
You go to school in the morning, and at night, you're grinding, get that Lakitu skin.
Yeah.
I mean,
Mario Kart 9 NFT
Yeah.
version.
It's already happening in Roblox.
That's the twist.
It is happening in Roblox, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's a whole different thing that, you guys can link to. I don't know if you guys have seen the People Make Games video about Roblox, but it's very good and it's very bleak. Jeez.
Roblox has turned into its own kind of platform in and of itself, which is a whole topic that I'm not prepared to talk about.
No, I will not launch into that. I also have opinions about it, but we'll keep those locked up.
Yeah, that'll be next time we have you on.
Yeah. The only thing that we didn't quite touch on was just that I know Square Enix was kind of like talking about, they were going to dabble into it. And but their statements were kind of muddled in that they kind of want to use it as a way to reward people making user generated content. And so it was a little confusing as to exactly what their angle is, but they also have a history of just using buzzword technology in their new yearly releases. I think in 2020 they were just talking about cloud gaming the whole time, So it's just is it just a way for them to drop words so their investors go, yeah, they are paying attention?
That's a good point.
I don't know.
Same with Sega, maybe saying it just so that they can say they said it and then do it or not do it.
Yeah, they just stuck their toe in the pool to see what the reaction would be.
So now you have NFTs. When you search NFTs, it is paired with these brands: NFT Sega, NFT Square Enix.
Yeah, if you put up Sega hate NFT in Google and Sega love NFT in Google, you get the same page as a result. I don't know. It's just weird. And I know I've now brought up Neil Stephenson in the past 3 episodes of this podcast, but it's it really is I feel like we're in this intersection of Neil Stephenson novels right now, in the world, and so I think he's behind all this. And it's it's the metaverse is Snow Crash, play to earn is Reamd, and then obviously Cryptonomicon for the birth of crypto and all that kind of stuff. And so it's it just feels like we're in this weird ethereal space between science fiction and reality right now that I thought I would be way more on board with when I was younger. And then now that I'm in my 30s, I'm I can't keep up with this and I resent it. That's where I'm at, I think.
Get off my lawn.
Yeah, essentially. I think that's where I'm going to end up on this episode.
All right. Well, we did it. We talked about NFTs and video games.
Let's never bring it up again on the show.
Except for next week when we give our shout outs. So if you have any thoughts on anything we said.
No, and I'm certain that this
chance.
is all going to change by next week and the week after. And it feels like it's constantly evolving, right?
We're going to have to talk about it probably.
And then you can bring me back on again. We'll do part 2, part 3, part 4.
You bastard, you figured it out.
And then we'll have a link on our YouTube channel of how to transfer your NFTs to the Nintendo Switch Online.
Yeah, Switch Headz coin specifically.
All right, we'll stop there. Or we're going to take another short break, and when we come back, we'll talk about the games we've been playing recently. I've been continuing to play all the games I usually talk about, but the one new game I wanted to talk about is Grindstone.
Yo,
I am super addicted to Grindstone.
It's great, right?
I have been playing it on my phone because my wife signed up for a trial. We actually have Apple Arcade through somebody else on our Apple TV.
Apple Arcade's pretty legit.
We have Apple Arcade access on our TV because I won't name the person because we have access to their Apple account. And but it's on the TV, so I don't play it very often. But my wife signed us our family up for a month trial of it on our phones and stuff. So I'm well, I'm going to download a few games and download Grindstone, and damn, I might keep the subscription up or just buy this game because I am super addicted to it. Any little moment I have on my phone is now Grindstone. I didn't really understand what it was exactly. I just knew it was kind of a puzzle game, and now that I'm playing it, it's just very satisfying.
Yeah,
it's very and great
getting
phone
a big,
game.
long chain.
I'm sure it's fun to play on the Switch, or any platform, but really works well on mobile. And we sometimes we talk about on this show, oh, I don't like to play games on my phone, and that's like you don't like to play games, some mobile games or game, but this is the game that's like well designed on this platform for me. You know what I mean? Like
totally.
Has
Shout out
Grindstone
to-
replaced Smash for you?
No,
Like,
no.
Okay.
No, it's such a different it's
This
more
is like a you play this while you take a shit.
yeah,
Mm.
or
A
like
shit
I'm
game.
in
Got it.
like I'm in line somewhere but don't have my Switch or whatever.
Right.
Like not that happens as much these days, but or like just like. Or my son's watching a cartoon on the TV, and I could go grab my Switch, or just do this on my phone for 5 minutes. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's really
On mobile, it's an Apple. It's still an iPhone exclusive, right? I don't know if it's on Android right now.
I would imagine because it's on Apple Arcade, that might be true.
Yeah.
Though with it going to the Switch, maybe I don't know how that
I'm
works.
gonna look that up, but yeah, it's. I will say, as somebody who's played Grindstone for the first time and only time on my Switch, I feel like it would probably be even a better game for mobile than it is a Switch game.
I would
And
have
it's like-
that vibe too. It just
Yeah.
has that vibe. It's very
totally
much touch
fine on the
screen
Switch,
is
but it's like
the way to
it's like
play.
getting your little dopamine rush quickly
Mhm.
is good for mobile. Yeah.
And like it remembers where I'm at. So like even if I'm in the middle of a level, like and I quit, it'll be like, "Do you want to pick back up?" And I'm like, "Yep."
It does it on Switch too. Yeah.
Right, but like you think like that. So like you might think, "Oh, that doesn't work that well on mobile because you can't. You have to finish level." I haven't had that problem. So,
Yeah.
but that's what I wanted to mention.
Awesome. I'm happy. Let's talk Grindstone sometime. Let's talk the deep lore of Grindstone. sometime.
It's got really, and you were kind of saying that you didn't really like the graphics, but you still like the game. I love the graphics actually. It's
Yeah.
got a really cartoony, Adult Swim kind of animation style that works for me.
Yeah, I don't hate it. It's just like it's a graphic style that I've just seen so many times in so many
That's
different places.
it's called like CalArts style. It like
Oh, is that
have
what
a
that
term?
is?
mhm. Yeah, it's like the Adventure Time style art.
Okay,
That's-
yeah.
That's what I
Okay.
know it as.
Yeah. On a recent stream of mine that I did on Wednesday, we were trying to kind of like nail it down. And there are like people who have worked on the art for that game who have certainly worked on like, Steven Universe, Adventure Time, all that kind of stuff, right? That's funny, CalArt style. I like
Yeah, it's because it comes from what's the school? California Institute of the Arts.
Mm.
Yeah.
So like a lot of those the artists for those TV shows studied in CalArts. They all kind
kinda
of work
like-
together.
with like Hollywood in the 70s. They all came out of UCLA or whatever, right? Like,
Yep, exactly. I'll go next. I started playing. I started playing Deathloop. I decided to abandon Deathloop to stop the loop myself. It got to a point where I was playing on PC where it crashed a lot. So I would be late in the game. It's a very patient game where you can do very like sneaky around in order to get the kill, to have these really great cinematic moments that arcade games are known for. And it crashed. Like it's crashed 5 or 6 times, and it's ruined my hype. And it like takes a long time to like really plan out your attacks in arcade style games. If you ever played any of their Dishonored, if you ever played Dishonored, it's kind of like the slow FPS games where you sneak up behind people and like you kill them, you murder them. And I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to play the same level again and again and again. So I thought I'd break the loop myself. And
good for
you know what? My time is limited, so I gave up. So I started playing The Pedestrian, which is on Game Pass.
Hey.
And that's been fun so far. I think I'm a couple
Is-
hours into that.
Is that the one you were streaming,
Yeah.
David?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I watched you stream that a little bit, but I didn't know what it was, and so yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'll go next because that's one of my games as well. As I also picked up The Pedestrian on Game Pass, and it's all right. It's pretty fun. I wouldn't say it's the best game I ever played. There's definitely like it had that. It's a puzzle platformer where you are like a man on a sign, on signs in the real world, right? So it's like 2D things in a 3D environment. And it's one of those puzzle games to where it's like a new puzzle starts or a new level starts, and you just see like all the shit you have to do, and you're like, oh boy, here we go. You know what I mean? And so it's like, I don't know if that's like inherently a good thing or a bad thing, but it's certainly like somewhat negative. So it's like, I'm kind of split on the pedestrian. Like, I think it's got a cool style and whatever, but I'm also like, am I having fun or am I just doing this to complete it? You know what I mean? How do you feel about it, Matt?
So far, I like it.
Yeah.
I love puzzle games. So any game that forces me to slow down, because I'll play the pedestrian like I play all puzzle games, which is brute force.
Right.
I brute force. I try to like put stuff together with no thought whatsoever. I just can see if I can guess and figure it out.
Yeah, that kind of slaps you on the wrist or whatever.
Yeah, they're like, hey,
figure it out. Yeah.
Slow down and make sure that you got to do it in one particular linear fashion. And so the pedestrian, you have these signs and you have to put them in a specific section and connect them using lines.
The moving them around is what I was not really prepared for with that game, and that's what makes it really complicated, I think.
Yeah. So it triggers the part of my brain which I like to do when I'm playing chess, where I have to like think in advance, like 3 or 4 steps in advance. And that's a good thing for me because I really like brute forcing my way through games. That's what I did through with like Myst, where I just like I just click on stuff until I figure it out. But this forces me. That's why I love puzzle games, because it asks me to slow down, be more present in my gaming.
So anyway, yeah, it's a cool game, a very interesting art style. It's a game that that's very eye catching, right? Like you see it and you're like, oh, that's very unique looking, and that's what drew me into it as well when I first played it. Also, on Game Pass, I did start Mass Effect Legendary Edition. So I've started playing that for the first time ever. I've never played a Mass Effect game. So that's been kind of fun. Although I'm not far at all. Matt, you were right. You were like, David's going to play this for like 2 hours and then put it down. Played it for about 1 hour and then play some more grindstone. But I'm going to pick it back up. I did save my place. And then other than that, just playing a bit of the Normo stuff. I've been playing a lot more grindstone. I've actually been winning some Tetris 99s recently. I had a long dry spell of not winning, and now I'm winning again. Nice to get. I've gotten like 3 or 4 wins in the past week, which is nice. It's good to have that right before I don't win anything during this Maximus Cup, which is bound to happen. Played a little bit of Binding of Isaac Repentance co-op with Robert Trailer last night. That was a ton of fun. And then just playing more Demon Turf. Still a lot of that game for me to get through. I'm still kind of going through the regular levels. And then even then, there are like remixed versions of the levels that you can play when you're done. Very similar to like Mario Galaxy or something like that, where there'll be like kind of whatever, but this does it for every single level. And you kind of have to do that for at least a certain number of them before you can fight against the final boss. And yeah, Demon Turf is just a fucking excellent game. I love it so much. And that's what I've been playing this week. What about you, Brian? What have you been playing this week?
Well, before I dive into that, I just want to have just a little bit of satisfaction of y'all playing a mobile game and enjoying it. Shout out to the first episode I was on.
That's true. That's true. Yes.
If you ever need some recommendations for other games to check out on Apple Arcade, I got a few. There's actually some pretty sweet stuff on there. Manifold Garden being one of them.
I love Manifold Garden.
That's a cool game.
Anyways, stuff that I've been playing. I got Metroid Dread for Christmas, so I've been playing that a little bit. It's really good. It's really good. There's not really much to say about it.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, no qualms on that one. I've been getting a little distracted because of the Steam sales that happen. Well, one, I play a lot of like co-op games with my boyfriend. He's kind of newish to gaming, so it's more fun to like play a game that we can sort of play together. So we've been playing a lot of Deep Rock Galactic. I don't know if you guys have ever played that game. It rules. It's one of the best like 4-player co-op shooters I've ever played. You're a group of space dwarves mining this island, or mining an asteroid. And so each mission is like a different thing. Like you've got different objectives, but like each of the dwarves has like a different play style. So like you have got your gunner, you've got your scout that's really fast and can zipline around. You've got your engineer who can like build stuff and turrets. And then you also have like your driller who can literally like, cause all the terrain is destructible. So you can literally like drill paths through it all. So it's really fun because like each person has like something very unique they can bring to the solutions to all your problems.
Would you say it's like Borderlands meets Minecraft?
A little bit. It doesn't have the looter shooter aspect.
Okay.
So it's like a little bit more Left 4 Dead meets Minecraft.
Okay. Yeah, that was going to be the first one I asked.
I'm playing a trailer in the video version of the podcast, and it said Starship Troopers meets Minecraft.
Yes, 100%. Like they literally say, "I'm doing my part" as a soundbite, like in in the game. And then outside of that, I just looked at my wish list and I'm like, what has been here for too long? And so I bought like 5 games that were like that have been there for, like 8 years. I was just like, let's get these out of here. I want to actually play them. So I played like Pony Island, which is a really weird little game. I don't know if you guys have ever seen it. The less you know about it, the better. Just kind of jump into it. It's very silly. There's this puzzle, almost walking simulator game that I played, Fract OSC. It's part like sequencer, like you're literally like the game itself is built around like making beats, but it's also puzzles, and it has this very Tron aesthetic, but it was also made in like the mid 10s. So like back when indie games like didn't want to explain anything to you, and so it was all like you figure it out. Like it was right in the middle of all of that. And then this other game called Teleglitch, which is a roguelike top-down game.
I love Teleglitch.
It's great.
That game
really
is
good.
so good.
Yeah.
I keep wishing I like had dreams that they released that on the Switch.
Oh, it would rule on the Switch.
Yeah, it would. It's like I've never played a game that is so minimalistic while also being so terrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It gets that horror part down so well, but the graphics are just blocks. Like it's so minimal. But like it does a really cool thing with the line of sight. So as you're walking through, like a place that has pillars and stuff, you can only see like what you would be able to see, which really ratchets up the horror aspect. Cause like all roguelikes, you can die in an instant. And so you're just like tiptoeing through these spots and you're like, what's behind this pillar? And it's like literally changing like your line of sight around this thing.
And like crafting on the fly in that game is like really stress inducing, but also like satisfying when you pull it off. Yeah.
Like you put together a nail bomb and throw it and just like run away like real fast. Yeah.
So
it's
cool.
real fun. So that's what I've been playing.
Awesome.
Yeah, that was great. Thanks, Brian. Thanks so much for coming
Brian.
on and joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Always have a good time.
Yeah.
And thanks to MilkyWay.co, who does our website. Thanks to Corduroy, who does our music. If you're looking for me, Patrick online, I am PDYX.
Hey, I'm Matthew on Twitter, MATHYOU.
I'm pretty much everywhere on the internet at Monolith Fiji. And what about you, Brian? Where can people find you and your tiny little alcohol cup online?
You can find me in my little glass of whiskey on at BD Bonnet on Twitter and on Instagram.
Awesome. Very good. Yeah. Everybody check this guy out. He's a joy to follow on all social media platforms. And if you'd like to follow that sounded like I was blowing smoke or pulling that out of my ass. I truly enjoy what you put out on social media. You're welcome. And if you'd like to follow our show on social media, we are at Switch Headz on Twitter. We are at Super Switch Headz on Instagram and Facebook. And then if you'd like to join our Discord, or our Facebook group, we really urge you to do so. Great communities. We've been just having great times in the Discord recently. So make sure you join those. There'll be a link to that in the description of this video below. Were you going to say something, Patrick?
Yeah, I just want to interrupt you and say, there's been some really great community vibes happening with that. I don't know if I should like get into it or not, but just people dealing with real stuff and other people helping out. And it's just been really heartwarming, honestly.
Yeah, every day is like a wholesome, heartwarming moment on our Discord, and we've just got some of the best fucking people around that have just like sprouted out of this podcast and have become this amazing community. So God bless every single one of you guys. And thanks so much for being a part of our community. And then, you know what? I mean, that's going to do it. What a great show, Brian. Again, thank you. We've got lots of stuff coming up, which I'm very excited about for this year. So make sure you keep tuning in to our show, Switch Headz, Super Switch Headz. I've already said all of it. You guys know what to do. Be kind to yourself and others. Love your neighbor. Get the fucking booster shot if you haven't gotten it yet. Let's be safe out there. Keep wearing a mask. Keep washing your hands. We'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye.